Om. Sahana Vatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. The spirit of renunciation purifies action, he says. Purification of action means dropping this kartrutva and bhoktrutva buddhi. Kartrutva means doership. Bhoktrutva is enjoyment with reference to the result of action. With reference to action and with reference to the result of action. With reference to action, you develop this doership. I am the doer. Meaning, I am the doer means an exaggerated opinion, value with reference to action. It's called I am the doer, the doership. You believe your action to be overvalued. Then you have with reference to the result of action. It says dropping these two is called renunciation, it says. So renunciation means dropping this. So when you drop this, your action gets purified. The purification of action happens. You are clipping this sense of ego, arrogance, that I am doing something big. Bigger the action, bigger the ego. Smaller the action, smaller the ego. That's why all the small people will appear very, very humble. And all those who are doing big things will appear very egoistic. If you want to know, you can go to the, just go to the government office, you can understand. People don't want to retire, not because they will not get salary. None of them are dependent on the salary for their life. Okay. But then they don't feel like retiring. Why? Because they lose the power that they're enjoying through that action. Because today, to take signature from him, people are standing in queue. You go to this, RTO, or you go to any government office you go. Right? The day he retires, next day, if he comes and stands there, how do you see him? You throw that fellow out. You'll say, who cares? Who are you? You see? So that action gives him that feeling of, I am bigger. The opinion about you comes from the size of action. Let's say bigger business, bigger turnovers, bigger house, bigger car, bigger things you have in life, greater the possibility for you to be developing that I. So you identify yourself with that and take that to be you. That's the exaggerated opinion. Every action has a value in this world. Right? Every doer, every performer of action has a role in the world. Right? No one is, important, or no one is unimportant. It's like they're studying, reading something. Say, this lot of this microorganisms are disappearing from this earth, and that is going to be causing a huge problem to humanity in future, because it is that microorganisms that is keeping the ecosystem going. We can see save tiger. All of us can identify with that, isn't it? Save earthworm. Imagine that you're getting two fellows walking into your office. One fellow says save tiger. Another fellow says save earthworms. Okay. Now, who you will value? Who is treated as who is doing something? I'm not undervaluing tiger's contribution or overestimating worm's contribution or anything. Both are equally contributing in their own capacity, in their own way. Right? But which is looking interesting for all of us? That's why there is no big movement we have for saving those things. No one talks about saving butterflies. So many varieties of butterflies are gone. They don't exist anymore. They're all gone. Right? Now, why is it that no one gets inspired to do that? I'm not asking you to start one more, please. Okay, Najib, now we will start it, sir. Will you join hands with you? Means I will not join. If you want to start, you start. Don't ask me to join. Okay. Because in one class I was explaining something, immediately, that lady called me. I was explaining the elephant, the contribution of elephant in the class. And then next week she is calling me. She says, I'm so inspired with this class, so I wanted to start one. And I want you to be part of that. Can you give, can you come and give a presentation on that to our, association there? I said, I don't know about elephants. I know only Ganesha. If you want me to come and talk about Ganesha, I will talk. Elephants, I cannot talk. What is interesting is, when you build a big house, you feel what? Now, that size big will vary from person to person. That is not the same. You see, a person who is living in a thatched roof, for him to go for a single bedroom cemented ceiling is something big for him. So he feels greater. The sense of I you feel from the size of your action. That is called kartrutva, doership. And you start inflating the value of your action. Since I am the one who is performing that valued action, I am a valuable person. That is called a doership, kartrutva. In Sanskrit, it is known as kartrutva buddhi, kartrutva bhavana. The next one is this: with reference to the result, you develop an idea. You get into the result orientation. Because renunciation says there are some impurities that stick to action. Renunciation is dropping the impurities. Thereby, you purify the action. So renunciation is you clip off these things. Unnecessary. Unnecessarily, it is hanging there. You remove what is not organically inside it. 2 golden bangles, I heat, melt it, and in that melting process, they mix together. Right? Now, Suddenly you add a little copper to it. Then we call it as impure, isn't it? Now it is not a pure gold set. Now it is impure gold. That's why they say 24 karat, 22 karat, 18 karat, all those things. What is that? How do you decide that, sir? It depends on the percentage of the mix of some other metal, something else. Apart from this, something else gets added. Anything gets added apart from what it is, essentially, that's called impurities. He says renunciation is removing those impurities. So you retain what is organic. So action is organic. But in that action, something else gets added. What is that? That exaggerated notion of I, exaggerated value that I give to the action, as a result of which I feel great. So for me to feel big, I need to do bigger things. I don't do all the small things. Like this fellow says, no, Rustam, sure about Rustam, Matthew Arnold, where he says, light female tasks, he says. Only ladies do all those things. I am a man, a warrior. I'll do all big things, I feel fight in the battlefield. So he calls those things as what? Light female tasks, he says. Only they can do it. I don't do those things. That sense is called doership. There is one more thing that sticks to action, he says. Another thing that sticks to action is this, he says. Also renounce your interest in the fruit of action. Because what is interesting is, any action that you perform, the fruit comes. Result, fruit in the sense effect. And always there is a timeline. See, this is where the problem comes into picture with reference to desires. When the desires were to be propelling you to perform action, the timeline you miss. That is where you get so desperate. I want the results quicker, you start feeling. So the desire should come a pace in which I want the result to come. Can we, accelerate? That's what we do now. All this research they do to make the fruit appear bigger, genetically modified, they say. It's not that all genetically modified is wrong, please. That means you are very biased with reference to science. That's not the case. But fundamentally, what we are doing is this. If the crop takes 4 months to yield, I want to modify it in such a way that I will work only for 2 months, I should be getting more yield. This is what accelerate. In science, what we are attempting is accelerate the pace, get it quickly, as early as possible. Now, that means one thing is for sure from our experience, that if the action is completed, there is a time gap between the completion of action and the result to come about. Right? During that period, what are you going to do mentally? That's called result orientation. That's what Krishna says. Drop the fruit of action. And he says, dropping the fruit of action means you have already performed the action. You have caused, you have executed the action. Once you have executed the action, you have no choice to be, you are entitled to receive the consequence. You cannot say, I'm not going to receive the consequence. After execution, you can never take. This is where confusion comes to all of us. When I perform action, I take a position of a karta with reference to the cause. With reference to the effect of action, I take a position of a bhokta. I identify totally myself with reference to bhokta when I take a position of bhokta. I forget that I was karta. I am the one who did this action earlier. That we forget. That's why all of us ask this question. What did I do in my life to receive such a thing? Why this is happening to me? What did I do? What did I do? Who is asking this question? Bhokta in you is asking that question. And there is no conversation, no communication between Bhokta and Karta. There can never be. It is like a child Ishwaran and adult Ishwaran wanting to have a meeting. That is not possible. If I am an adult, there cannot be child. If child Ishwaran, adult Ishwaran is not. That's why when we are trying to understand Krishna character, we get totally confused. See, because on one time he is looking like a man who argues so beautifully for peace. Beautiful arguments. The way he presents, fantastic one side. Suddenly you close that and open Bhagavad Gita, he gives amazing arguments for war. Now, which side he is? Who is that? One side he looks so involved with the gopis. He packs his bags and goes away from Mathura, this, Vrindavan. He goes away. After that, no meeting at all with them. He never goes back. Nor the gopis go and meet him. When he was there, Krishna means, they give their life for Krishna. They die. But when he moved out, they don't. Now, how do you reconcile these two things? There is no meeting point. There seems to be no consistency at all. Same thing is what is happening in every one of us. When you are performing action, you take a position of a karta. It's like expecting a meeting point between Othello and Macbeth. Othello and Macbeth has no connection. The only connection you can have is how both the characters were played by the same actor, Laurence Olivier. He is the one who played the character of Othello. Also, he is the one who played the character of this. Only from the point of view of the actor, there is a link. With the characters, there's no link. So if you identify yourself totally with that character, you forget the other part. That is why when you are a bhokta, we keep on asking, what did I do? What did I do? How can a bhokta do something? Bhokta is only, his job is what? Receive. He is a receiving clerk. He is supposed to receive whatever is come. That's it. He is not the one who is going to be deciding. He is not the one who is going to be dispatching department. He is there only to receive the stock, whatever stock comes. Now that, that fellow cannot take a stand saying, I did not order. The purchase department, only those people ordered. No, go and talk to them. I didn't place the order. It is absurd. With reference to the consequences, the effect, the fruit, you have no choice but to go through it. Once you have executed action, means you are entitled for it. Good or bad doesn't make any difference. You have to be given that. So the problem is this. When you are performing this action with the desire for the fruit, what happens is you start feeling the desperation. In the desperation, what you do is you will want the effect to come faster, quicker. And the law of life says when it has to be given is not in your hands. You can order only what. When it should be given to you is not in your hands. That is in the hands of God, Ishvara. That's why he is referred as Palatata. He is the one who gives the fruit, the results. He is the giver of results. He gives it. When it has to be given, it is in his hands, not in your hands. But the problem is, by the performance of action, you have already ordered what? When he will give, that has to come. There's no choice. But the result orientation means you start wanting to dictate terms in terms of when it has to come also. Not only what has to come to me, also when it should be supplied to me. Dropping this when is not in my hands is called dropping, is called clipping this interest in the fruit of action, that is result orientation. Dropping the result orientation. Thus, when you do these two things, you become pure. Action becomes pure. Whatever actions you become, whatever actions you do gets purity. Meaning only that will be there. Nothing else gets added to it. Like only gold, pure gold. There is no other metal is added to it. Only water. Nothing else got added to that. Otherwise, things gets added to. Then it becomes impure. Now, remember, with copper, you add gold also, it is called impure copper. Okay. In the example, we give gold example, but don't take it as only for gold, sir. Then we call it as, with reference to copper also, it is impure. Gold has come and polluted copper now. Because there is something other than copper is there. Anything other than copper that exists, it is an impure copper. Anything other than gold that exists in that is an impure gold. As simple as that. Same way, when you are performing actions, with reference to actions, what is it? Dropping what is not connected to action. What is not connected to action? The sense of doership is not connected to action. Similarly, the desperation with reference to the fruit is not connected to action. How does renunciation work, sir? Renunciation works like this, he says. So drop this two things. That is renunciation. The spirit of renunciation purifies action. You must learn to renounce your sense of doership in action. Also, renounce your interest in the fruit of action. Clip these two things. Clipping these two gets pure action. Continuing, the renunciation has further been classified under three broad categories, known as sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Sattvic renunciation is the highest, true renunciation. Rajasic is conditioned, temporary state of renunciation. And tamasic is the lowest, no renunciation at all. Now, all of you should be familiar with these three things: sattva, rajas, tamas. Sattva is the highest quality. Rajas, mediocre. Tamas, lowest. Everything in the world has all the three qualities. Any substance you take in the world has three qualities: sattva, rajas, tamas. There is a sattvic time, there is a rajasic time, there is a tamasic time. There is a sattvic place, there is a rajasic place, there is a tamasic place. Sattvic food, rajasic food, tamasic food. Sattvic sight, rajasic sight, tamasic sight. Sattvic sound, rajasic sound, tamasic sound. Sattvic taste, rajasic taste, tamasic taste. Anything you take, color you take, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic is there. You take anything from this world, it contains these three things. Now, renunciation belongs to the world. Since it belongs to the world, this also should be having these three. Those three are what? The A grade, B grade, C grade. A grade is sattvic, B grade is rajasic, C grade is tamasic. Tamasic renunciation is relinquishment of obligatory action out of delusion. A human being has to fulfill his obligation to his family, his business, community, country, etc. Relinquishing duties and responsibilities out of ignorance, indifference is considered tamasic. Also, discarding things out of ignorance of their value because one is not aware of its pleasure content would fall under tamasic renunciation. Rajasic renunciation is relinquishment of action because of fear of physical or mental pain that it may cause. In that case, the person claiming to have renounced action would willingly take it if the strain or pain part of it is removed. Such pseudo-relinquishment is considered rajasic. Ironically, true renunciation does not mean giving up action. Sattvic renunciation, acclaimed as of the highest order, speaks of performance of action. A human has to perform his obligatory functions in life. He cannot give up his duty and responsibility. He must do what he ought to do without being involved in his action or entertaining a profit motive in it. Just carry out work objectively, with no desire driving action and no craving for fruit. Thus, sattvic renunciation means acting without the mind's attachment to action or anxiety for the fruit thereof. This is the three things: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic renunciation. He says, strictly speaking, sattvic renunciation alone is renunciation. So there's no necessity to qualify that as sattvic renunciation. But however, in the classification, we say this is called a sattvic renunciation. So which means rajasic and tamasic renunciation is not renunciation at all. Only sattvic renunciation to be treated as renunciation. Now, what is this sattvic renunciation? In sattvic renunciation, you give up, not action. That's the basic difference. Fundamentally, what you have to understand is, with reference to sattvic renunciation, it is performance of action, doing action. In tamasic and rajasic renunciation, there is giving up of action, meaning stopping action. Stoppage of action is there. Non-performance of action is there for different reasons. Depending on the reason, we will be classifying that as rajasic or tamasic. Okay, fundamental difference between sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic is, in sattvic renunciation, action continues. In tamasic and rajasic renunciation, action stops. Performance of action stops. Now here, now replace that word from action with obligation, or add that one more word to qualify that action. Obligatory action. In sattvic renunciation, obligatory action performance continues. Performance of obligatory action continues. In rajasic and tamasic renunciation, performance of obligatory actions stops. Then how do you distinguish whether it is tamasic or rajasic, sir? Based on the reason that drives a person to stop at the action, stop performing this obligation. That is a difference. But one thing is common between rajasic and tamasic. What is common? Stopping action. Action means obligation. Non-performance of obligation is common for both. In sattvic renunciation, performance of obligation continues. That is the catch. That is the crux here. Okay. Obligatory action here continues, which means rajasic and tamasic person, you cannot say they don't perform any action. You see, suppose if you don't qualify that as with obligatory action, what about desired action? Here, a rajasic person will be continuing to perform desired action. Now, when he is doing desired, how can you call that as this? So that is why we understand it very clearly. It is obligatory actions they don't perform, to which they give reasons. What is the reason given by this rajasic person? Rajasic person gives a very simple reason. Sir, so painful, I tell you. Responsibilities are painful. Therefore, we all wait for an opportunity to pass that responsibility to somebody else. That's why nowadays, parents are not looking for, marriage alliances for their own kids. Why trouble unnecessarily, because tomorrow if something happens, that fellow blames me. You only forgot this girl, no for me. Therefore, it is better, let them decide. Why? Because to take up that responsibility, to be responsible, is painful. So they asked, Vajpayee, after he became prime minister, they asked him in one of the interview, fellow asked, sir, earlier you had a good smile you used to have always face. The smile is missing now. Missing now. He said, how can I smile? Earlier I didn't know so many problems. Now I can see. Morning till night it is only what? Problem. Wow, how can you smile after that? He says. And every problem is what? Is a big problem. No problem goes to him which is small. Everything is big. So responsible. That's why they all put up a stern face. You see the diplomats, you see those, generals, you look at them, they can never be smiling. Imagine with the opposition party, you keep smiling. Finished. They'll tear you to pieces. So you have to have a stern face to show. Why? Burden. We take responsibilities as a burden. And that's what he means by it's a pain that it causes. The pain could be physical, the pain could be mental. That's all. Sometimes certain pains would be physical. It's a physical pain. Have to study. It's a physical pain. My God, it's a real pain, man. Have to write exams so fast. Those days when we write, now I stopped writing exams and all. Now they started typing or clicking. It's only mouse click they have to do. MCQs, no. So, exams you have to write. Means they'll ask you to write essays. 3 big questions you have to answer. Bigger you write, greater the marks for you. You have to write about 20 pages, 30 pages, you have to write in 3 hours. Right. After about 1.5 hours, your hands will start paining so much. So we'll drop the pen and do some massage here, massage there, and all that, and again start writing. It's a pain. Studying is a pain. Exercising is pain. It is such a pain it is. Because you get next day morning, you can't get up, you can't move, you can't stand, you can't sit, you can't turn this side, you can't turn that side. Pain so much. So what are you going to do? I'm not going to exercise. Why? Because it causes pain. So I want to reduce weight. But without any pain, if I can reduce weight, all that you have to do was order this belt. What you can do, you can keep watching TV and put on that belt and switch it on. That vibration, what will happen? All the fat will disappear. So you tell them, no man, you have to maintain a proper diet and then you have to exercise. If you do that continuously for 3 months, you will start feeling the difference first. And then if you continue that for another 3 months, people around you will start seeing some difference in you. After 8 to 10 months, there will be difference actually. Till such time, what you have to do? Will take 10 months, is it? 10 months I have to maintain. Therefore what? Don't do it. Anywhere you stop that action, what you are supposed to do, because of the pain, that is called rajasic renunciation. Of the 3, very easy to understand. That's why first I explained it. Right. Very easy to understand this rajasic renunciation. Wherever pain comes, I stop it. Which means what? I have not stopped the agenda. The idea of losing weight, I have not dropped. Idea of losing weight through diet and exercise, only that I dropped. Suppose if someone gives me a method, circumvent these 2 things to reach there, I will teach you, I'll give you the diet which you will be relishing so much in your life. All that you like, you can keep eating. How much ever you want. No taboo of quantum like we saw earlier, renunciation. No taboo of quantum, no taboo of this, nothing. You can eat all that. Habdiya. Yes. About exercise? No exercise also. You don't have to do anything. Along with that, what you have to do? Just drink this 1 cup. I'll just give you a cup. Keep drinking it every day. And do whatever you want. Doesn't matter what you eat. This will go inside without you doing anything. That's what this video I saw. While sleeping, how to burn fat. Viewership is about, goes to about 6.5 million viewership for that. And the liking is, runs to few, thousands there. And dislike only few fellows. Why? Because they got irritated with this. Yeah. It's such a fantastic, all that you have to do is rajasic renunciation. Performing action. No, I stop action. Why? Because of the pain. But the desire for that result is still there in me. You see, that I have not dropped. That I am still holding. That is why the moment this pain is removed, the problem is removed, I'll jump into it. So that is rajasic renunciation. The next one he gives is this sattvic, this tamasic renunciation. Tamasic renunciation is another beautiful idea he gives. Now, 3 points he gives with reference to tamasic renunciation. The first one he says is, you relinquish obligatory duties, actions out of delusion. One. Two, out of ignorance. Delusion in the sense out of ignorance. Can take it as. Second one is obligatory actions out of indifference. Right. Third one, relinquish something because you don't understand the value of pleasure in it. What is the pleasure in it, you don't know. Mercedes Benz. A big deal. Just a car, no. That means the fellow is ignorant of that. Yeah, it's all same car only, no. Rolls Royce. Now, what is in Rolls Royce? He doesn't even understand. It looks bad. Actually, once the Rolls Royce came here, not to pick me, okay. I conspired it very smartly. He gave that to pick up Swamiji from the airport. I told the driver, you come and pick me, we will go together to airport. That's all. So it's not that it came for me, but my market value increased here in the apartment. After that, everybody said, wow, sir. I'm taking pictures now. I said, when will get a chance, to take a picture with Rolls Royce? I said, I will not stand next to it. I will sit inside. Because even if I stand, we don't know. Maybe it is standing in somewhere. You take a picture. Take a selfie like look. So I said, no, I'm going to do it. So one of our students told me, he has that. So whenever I want, I can ask him to send, at least to take a picture. So he said, Rolls Royce. And she got so interested. Kritika forwarded that picture to one of her friends. He doesn't understand. He doesn't know anything. He said, he told her, why it looks so ugly? I didn't tell that to that man. He would have fixed to gundas to finish her off. He said, why, what is in that car? Why are you sending it to me? Suddenly, because this girl, that lady, she tried to see, is there anything in that picture? She zoomed that picture, she saw this, she saw that. And she asked her, husband also, I don't know what is that. I don't know why she sent this picture to you. Because same fellow, picture, what is this? That is called a tamasic renunciation. If you tell her, I'm coming in Rolls Royce, she'll say, Abdiya, you won't even register. To their place, this car will not go. That is a problem. Even if I take the car, it will not enter that city. In that in the town, it cannot go in because there's no road to take this vehicle. A picture. Tamasic renunciation. You don't know the value of it. See, the scriptures, they give the example of this man, who's throwing the pebbles in the river the night just to entertain himself because he wants to keep awake. He got stuck in the night in the jungle. So he doesn't want to fall off to sleep because if he falls off to sleep, there is a risk of some predator coming and killing him. So he wants to stay awake. So just to entertain himself, what was he doing, sir? He was taking the pebbles and throwing it in the river. Just throwing from the top, just to entertain himself. And morning, sunrise, last one he had with him. When the sunlight, when he saw, he realized that's a diamond. All that he was throwing was what? Whole night. He was throwing diamonds. Out of what? If he would have known what he is throwing as diamonds, he would have given himself into the mouth, not that bag of diamonds. Why, sir? So precious. I can die, but that should not, nothing should happen to that. You may think, no, sir, that's not the case for us. That's what we all live. No. Nothing should happen to the car. That is most important for us. Then nothing should happen to you. Or you important or car important. But for all of us, which is more important? The car is more important. That's why we clean the car outside more than inside. Have you seen people cleaning the cars? You engage a fellow also. That's why I don't keep anyone to clean my car. I keep cleaning myself here. Because every one fellow comes here, they say we clean outside every day, and once a week we will clean inside. I said, I sit inside the car every day. I'm sitting inside the car, clean inside. He says, sir, every day, why do you want to clean inside? Every day you have to clean outside only. Why do you have to clean outside? Inside you clean, man. The bottle should be cleaned inside or outside first. Cleaning should happen inside first. Then comes outside. Now here, priorities. What? Where is the focus? Which is valuable to you? Are you important or car important? Is your life important or diamonds important? For us, diamonds will become so important. You might die, but not. That should not go. The moment you don't know what you are having, then you will do what? You just throw away things so easily. You don't understand the value of what you are possessing right now. Right now, how many things that you are enjoying in life, you are not aware of. Therefore, you don't care. You say, what? So what? Big deal. There are so many things I am not having in my life. The things that you have in life seems less than the things that you are not blessed with. Now, you are blessed with what? You are not aware of it. That's called ignorance of value, he says. You don't know the value of something, the value that you are alive. Do you recognize? The story alone we understand. See, but when it comes to the idea, we miss the whole point. Yeah, I understand the value of things. But do you understand the value of life? When do you understand? Only when you start thinking it is about to leave you. Then you start worrying about it. Till then, we don't worry about it. See, the valuation of things. You don't understand the value of things. This is tamasic renunciation. Another point he gives is a fascinating. You don't perform obligations because of indifference. It says, out of indifference, you stop performing action. Now, what is this indifference? What's the meaning of indifference? You get indifferent. You become indifferent in life. What is indifference? Indifference means, I've been doing so much for these people. It is of no effect. Therefore, what? No use. Therefore, no point in continuing. This is called indifference. See, indifference means what? You have a particular thought process, a particular way of your thinking goes. Your thinking goes, the process happens in such a way, it justifies your stopping action, stopping your obligation. Why? It is correct, no. Immediately you'll say what? Sir, what is the point in continuing? Because he is not even understanding what I'm here to help him. He's not even understanding. That's why Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives a beautiful example. The story, best one. Of course, everything of him is best. But one of the things which is so relished is he goes to take bath in the river and he sees a scorpion about to drown. He takes that and puts it on the ground. As he's taking and putting it on the ground, it stings him. And again it falls back. Again he takes and puts it back onto the safety. Once he places it there, immediately it stings again. It stings again, stings again. And the man says, are you mad? Why it is stinging? No, leave it. To which he said, how can I leave that? It's not possible for me. Why? Because he is a Sattvic man. His friend is a Tamasic fellow. He says what? See, at least, if not that scorpion giving me a certificate that I am the savior, whenever you do your obligations, what do you expect? What do you want? Minimum thing you want is what? People to tell you that issue certificate. All of us crave for certificates from others. You see, good father. A child has to say, I am a good father. I have to get a certificate from them that I am a good father. I have to get a certificate from my wife. I am a good husband. I have to get a certificate from my father. I am a good son. I have to get a certificate from my neighbor. I am a good neighbor. I have to get a certificate from them. Every certificate. For that certificate only, I continue to do my obligations. I continue to do things to people around. Isn't it? If that certificates are not going to come, what will you do? Will you continue? No certificate is going to be given to you. Will you continue? Is the point. He says indifference. Indifference means you stop it. Why? Because I don't care. That I don't even bother about it. Why? Because I did not get it. I did not get the proper response from people. I've been teaching and teaching and teaching and nobody is following, nobody is doing things. Now, how will I get interested? How will I get more motivated for me to continue to teach? Therefore, what? Cancel the class. Or else what? I come and sit in the class. Today is what? Renunciation. Huh? Okay, read. He said, coming with, we have to drag our feet to do your action. That is how you go to office, no? Even though you claim to be doing your duties, you claim to be doing your obligations, but you got to drag yourself. Why? Because the moment you see no certificates, but what is interesting is so long as the certificates are issued to you, you will continue. That's the best part of it. So you are continuing out of what? Not out of the sense of obligation. You're continuing it because of what? Certificate. Indifference is what, sir? Indifference is a thinking, a way, a method of thinking where you just keep yourself. Find some reason for you to stop action. Stop performing your obligations. I don't care. That's the thing. Because I have to perform obligations. What is your understanding of obligations here? That's called, he calls as ignorance. Ignorance is what? You don't understand what is obligation. Our understanding of obligations were all based on what? What is the thing he says? That's why he gives examples also for that. Obligations. Immediately, he gives examples to make us realize. Fulfills the obligations to his family, his business, community, country, etc. Straight away, all this means what? Relationships, social connections. The moment you say obligation, immediately you understand obligations with reference to your social links, connections, relationships. What are the type of relationship? The circle of relationships is what is giving here. My business, my family, my society, my country, my community, etc. Depends on those things only. And the moment you say relationships, social things, what happens there? You don't define the things based on the social connections you create for what? For what you create social connections, relationships? Only to satisfy yourself. Only for your selfish interest. That's all it is. That is why we have different rules. Isn't it? Social connections means what? Different rules for different people. There is a set of people whom I call as mine, and there is a set of people who are not mine. When the neighbor child misbehaves, you call it as what? If you don't know how to parent, why do you beget children? Fit for, I don't know why these people, go on. Why? Because the child is not mine. If it is my child, what is the way we recognize things? That's why he says, to his family, his business, his community, his country. If his country does that, correct. If it is not his country, then it is not correct. You see? Examples I don't want to give. It will become political. Country-wise. One country should not interfere with the internal affairs of another country. With reference to which country we take that stand? In terms of my internal affairs of my country, other countries should not. But I will go and interfere in the internal affairs of other countries. You cannot come into my country, but I will come into your country. What is that? This is called selfishness, isn't it? This is a classical definition of selfishness now. So all these relationships that we are entertaining at various levels, the proof is this. Develop the relationship. And then you continue to perform actions. Okay. You are continuing to contribute, you are continuing to perform actions only to maintain that relationship. If you don't continue, relationship will collapse. That is what you call as obligations. Is that obligation? You're all with me? See how, very subtly he suggests. This is how you are supposed to read this text. All that he says is, a human being has to fulfill his obligation to his family, his business, community, country, etc. He feels like that. Who feels? See, this sentence should be coming in Sattvic. He's putting it in Tamasic renunciation. Why does he put it in Tamasic renunciation? Explaining Tamasic renunciation, he says what? Relinquishing, even without the sentence, this thing will be correct only. Even if you remove the sentence, if you read that carefully, Tamasic renunciation is relinquishment of obligatory action out of delusion. Relinquishing duties and responsibilities out of ignorance, indifference is considered tamasic. No issues, no. Now, suddenly he is bringing in the relationships here. You see, suddenly he says, a human being has to, which means everyone has to do that. No. Therefore, what we'll do? I am going to perform that. But why I am performing it? If I stop performing action only to maintain that relationship, I am I entertain that relationship out of my selfish interest to fulfill my selfishness. And now I am performing actions to maintain that relationship. In that process, what I am maintaining, what I am sustaining. I am sustaining only my selfish interest, my stake involved. Because there is a stake involved. Therefore, I am doing it. Otherwise, I will not do. Why will I do it? Whereas obligations, meaning is what? Remember, fundamental obligatory life of obligations means one-sided. It's not mutual. What I bring to table and what you bring to table. No. There's no such things. It is all what? Total only one-sided. I just go on and on and on providing, doing action, fulfilling my obligations. That's it. We don't care about the other person's way of relating to you. The reciprocal, how they are reciprocating with you is not your issue at all here. The issue here is only this. Because all social things are nothing but what? Convenience, no? You're maintaining a relationship, all relationships of yours, all social things. Implication is what? Convenience. Convenience means what is convenient to me. That is why this keeps on changing, isn't it? What I like. That's why this laws keeps on changing. The social laws goes on changing over a period of time. What was right then is wrong now. What was wrong then was right now. Child marriage was right then. Today it is wrong. Divorce is wrong then. Today it is right. Now, which is correct now? All of us will take a stand. What? Sir, the current stand is correct. They are wrong. Their values are wrong. Their things are all wrong. Why did they keep it like that? Because that was convenient at that point of time. Today, this is convenient. Tomorrow, something else will be convenient. Anything you say convenient, all social things are convenience only. There's nothing we have in life which is beyond conveniences. Like, my grandmother would never allow my sister to wear chudidar. Only half sari allowed. Because chudidar Allah, my grandma used to call it as modern dress. Modern dress. If someone were to come with chudidar in the house, means she will get annoyed. Nah. What do you think of yourself? And the moment sister got married and she left, she came back from Hyderabad. We went to Hyderabad for her in-laws place, and she was there for about a few months, and then they came back for Diwali. They came. Diwali, she came, purposefully she came, my sister, deliberately, just to irritate my grandmother. She came in to that. We were all like, really shocked to see, her. Just to irritate. Chudidar is what? Hey, dressing is what? Convenience. That's about it. There's no, convenience means what? Selfishness. Anything suits me is convenient to me. Anything that doesn't suit me is inconvenient to me. What is that? That's the classical meaning of selfishness. If I like, it is correct. If I don't like, it is not correct. If I like, I call Indian system of governance as democracy. If I don't like, I will call it as mobocracy. Or what is it? Mob rule. It depends on what? Convenience. All relationships that you entertain in life is based on convenience. If it is going to be based on convenience, then what is it, sir? There's actions performed out of indifference. Out of indifference, you perform action, then it is, you stop stop performing actions. When you say indifference, what is referred is you stop performing actions based on this justifying. Indifference is a way you justify. And this indifference always has a backdoor entry, remember. It will never come direct. So that's why it is difficult to recognize. Remember, tamasic one. Tamas is the most dangerous one of the three. Tamas is the most dangerous, and of the things, of the 3 points in tamas, the indifference point is the most difficult thing to recognize. Out of ignorance, not knowing the value of something, you drop something and all is little easy, at least to intellectually understand. If not practicing, at least intellectually to understand, it's a little easier. But out of indifference, you stop performing action. So difficult. How much I can do, sir? How much ever I do, they are not going to recognize it. They are not going to, nothing is going to happen. Therefore, what I'm going to do now? Stop action. Very difficult to identify where this thing is, because it comes out with such a fantastic masking, covering up of fantastic reasoning, because no one can break the logic of it. Logically, that is correct. Sir, will you go on investing money when you know the business is going to be a failure? Will you do that? Will anyone sensible continue to pour investment? Who will do that? Therefore, what do you have to do? Stop it. It's not going to be having any effect. Therefore, what are you going to do? Stop it. Stop it. That stoppage of things in action. That's what the difference they give. Compassion and sympathy. There's a difference between compassion and sympathy. Compassion is what? Sanskrit word for compassion is karuna. Karuna means compassion. The root word, the dhatu word for karuna is kri, means to do. It's the same root. Kri, do. Which means what? Not lip sympathy. Not just words. You actually do something to remove the pain. That's called compassion. Indifference is what? We'll say, "Ayyo, pavam, sir." But they don't deserve my help. Pavam, but they don't deserve it. So for not doing, you have a fantastic justification. What? They don't deserve it. Very difficult to decipher, because it comes with such fantastic logic. How do you distinguish between sattvic renunciation and tamasic renunciation? Rajasic is very easy. Distinguishing between these two is a problem. How do you distinguish that? If a type of reasoning were to lead you to perform action, sattvic. If the way of reasoning, thinking of yours, were to lead you to stop action, tamasic. You do not know what is your obligation. First of all, first recognize your obligation. Your obligations are not based upon your relationships that you have. It just comes the other way around. This tamas, indifference, keeps you in your comfort zone. So you feel I'm doing the right thing. The most dangerous aspect of indifference, tamas, because it keeps you in a comfortable position. And you believe you are doing it. It's like saying, about body, people say, now body is what's just a bag of skin, carrying things. I don't want to explain. You go to Bhajavavindam, he explains what is body. You read that, therefore, what you are going to think, what are you going to do with the body, sir? Therefore, body is what? You become indifferent towards it. I don't care. Anyway, what is it? It is this only. No. Therefore, what are you going to do with reference to body? Nothing I'm going to do with reference to body. That is called tamasic renunciation. Any direction you go. And the most dangerous aspect, you know what? In tamasic renunciation is tamasic indifference. In this type of reasoning is when you get the support of the scriptures for inaction. You call for the support on the authority of the scriptural support. That's the height of it. The height of indifference is you call the support of the scripture to say. That is why you will find the tamasic renunciate, tamasic personality is the one who will appear very philosophical. See, that is the most dangerous aspect of tamasic relinquishment. This indifference. Indifference means don't take it as just, I don't care. Of course it is. Indifferent towards what? You are indifferent towards the consequences of your actions. Consequences of not doing it. Don't bother about it. Why? Because you are already comfortable. Why you are comfortable? What gives you the sense of comfort is the support that you take from the scripture itself. When you start quoting the scriptures, now what can be done to that fellow? Nothing can be done. And he will appear very, very philosophical. Perfect. You cannot break him. Tamasic. Now pray that you don't fall into the trap. That's the only option. If you are in the tamas, finished. Therefore, what you do, that's why we study all these aspects. Anytime you feel, anytime you take the support of the scriptures, for what? To stopping action. The scriptural support, the reasoning and thinking, all those things drives you to what? Not to do something. Not to perform your obligations. Straight away understand that as tamasic renunciation. That's why it is so important. After all, just a story building up only. Values and, don't have the right value, don't understand the pleasure content in it. What is this and all is just a extra fitting. The core is that one word, indifference. Out of indifference. Pramada, he calls it as in the Gita. Goes on saying, it's pramada. This indifference, heedlessness, with reference to what? Consequences of it, say, is a tamasic one. You go to the temple, people go, the temple, you go, I should go to the temple, straight I should go and see God and come back. Nobody should be there. When I go to temple should be empty. There also, this is all crooked buddhi. Vakra buddhi, we say, no? This is the meaning of it. You ask people who go for this yatra and all those things, too many people, sir. Tirupati, Jarganti, all the time pushing you out only. Nobody is calling you inside, sir. They say, get out, get out, get out. Come in, they should say. Go only, they say. Why? So when I go to temple, it should be there. God should be there for what? To listen to all my problems and give solutions. If this God is not giving solution, what will I do? I'll change the God. God is dispensable as far as we are concerned. That is called indifference. This is indifference. Now, don't take indifference in the extreme one. If you take extreme inaction, see, but what leads you there is a particular way of thought process. A particular thought process leads you to that. You identify the thought process, you can capture it. Straight away you go there, you will not be able to understand anything. Difference. You leave something because of pain, that is Rajasic renunciation. Sattvic renunciation is performance of your obligations. What is that obligation? All that is a different, analysis. We are not getting into that now. Okay. You perform your duty. And what do you clip? You clip all that unnecessary things associated. What is unnecessary associated with that? Two things essentially, unconnected lying around. What does it say? Kartrutva, Bhoktrutva. The sense of doership with reference to action and anxiety for the result orientation. Right. See you in the next class. Thank you.